What's up guys, it's Darkarm Duelist Integrity doing a Twilight Sworn deck profile. So I'm really excited for you guys because this deck was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Gloomba. And this deck is a really awesome deck because you can actually get to play the dark counterpart versions of the Lightsworn monsters, which is really insane and awesome because you actually have a dark counterpart version of Judgment Dragon as well in the form of Punishment Dragon, which is an absolutely insane card. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron, along with test hands. And definitely give Gloomba some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Lumina Twilight Sworn Shaman, which is a great 2 of in this build, with the ability that once per turn, you can banish a Lightsworn monster from your hand or graveyard, and then target one of your banished Lightsworn monsters, except another copy of this card, and special summon it. And then once per turn, if your other Lightsworn monster effect is activated, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect to be able to just send 3 cards off the top of your deck to the graveyard to get more cards in the grave. We then play a single copy of Lila Twilight Sworn Enchantress. Lila is a really good one of in this particular deck. She has the ability that once per turn, when a spell or trap card or effect is activated, quick effect, banish one Lightsworn monster from your hand or graveyard and then target one face-up spell or trap card on the field and destroy it. And then once per turn, if your other Lightsworn monster effect is activated, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, which is again a pretty good effect just to be able to get additional cards in the graveyard. We then play just a single copy of Raiko Twilight Sworn Fighter. This card is a great one of. You only need a single copy of this card because it has the ability that if this card is normal summon or flip face up, then you can banish a Lightsworn monster from your hand or grave and then banish one card from the field, and it doesn't actually target, which is a really good effect to be able to just banish any card on the field with that effect. And then once per turn, if another Lightsworn monster effect is activated, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect just to send additional cards from your deck to the grave. We then play 3 copies of Raiden, Hand of the Lightsworn. This card is a really good 3 of in the deck because during the main phase you can send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect, and then during the end phase you also send an additional 2 to the graveyard. This also is a level 4 tuner, so it's a really good card to summon to your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Wolf Lightsworn Beast. Wolf Lightsworn Beast is a really good card because if it's sent from your deck to the graveyard, you then get to special summon it back to the field. And it's not a once per turn, so basically if it's milled to the graveyard off of any of your Lightsworn's effects, it actually special summons itself, which is a really awesome effect just to get this monster on the field. We then play a single copy of Felice, which is just like Wolf, that if it's sent from the deck to the graveyard, you get to special summon it to your side of the field, which is a really good effect, but it also has the ability to contribute this card and then target one monster your opponent controls, destroy that target, and then send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect. We then play 2 copies of Lumina Lightsworn Summoner. This card is a really good effect that once per turn you can discard a card and then target a level 4 or lower Lightsworn monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. And then during the end phase of the turn, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, and you must control this card on the field to activate and resolve those effects. But this card is really good in the deck because it can basically bring back your copies of Raiden to be able to go in for a copy of Michael, the Arc Lightsworn, which is a really good synchro monster, or even go in for a copy of Needle Fiber if you bring back a tuner monster like your copy of your Raiden, which is a really good card in this deck. We then play a single copy of Lila Lightsworn Sorceress. This card is basically an MST that you change it from attack into defense position and then pop a spell or trap on the field, which is a really good effect just to be able to pop a spell or trap on the field with this card's effect. Then play a single copy of Minerva. Minerva is a good one of in this deck because if it's sent from your deck to the graveyard, you send an additional card from your deck to the grave off the top, which is a really good effect. And when this card is normal summon, you can add a light dragon type monster from your deck to your hand whose level is less than or equal to the total number of Lightsworn monsters with different original names in your graveyard, which is a pretty good effect to be able to use on this card to be able to get the exact monster you need when you need it. We then play 2 copies of Punishment Dragon. Punishment Dragon is a really good 2 of in the deck that basically has an absolutely insane effect that it cannot be normal summoner set. It must be special summoned from your hand by possessing 4 or more banished Lightsworn monsters with different names. And then once per turn, quick effect, you can pay 1,000 light points to shuffle into your deck all cards, or shuffle into both players' decks all cards in the graveyards and all face up banished cards, except Lightsworn monsters, which is absolutely crazy because it basically has the ability that it resets the duel except for your Lightsworn monsters and what's on the field and what's in the hand. Being able to recycle all of your cards that you've milled to the graveyard except for your Lightsworn monsters to be able to set up the graveyard for cards like Judgment Dragon and itself with the cards that are banished, which is really good. And then once per turn, if your Lightsworn monster effect is activated, send the top 4 cards of your deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect just to be able to mill 4 more cards. We then play 2 copies of Judgment Dragon. Judgment Dragon is really, really good because it can special summon itself to your side of the field if you have 4 more Lightsworn monsters with different names in your graveyard. It can now be special summoned by other ways. And you pay 1,000 life points to destroy all their cards on the field, and that is not once per turn, which is absolutely crazy to be able to throw this card out on your side of the field with such an easy effect. And during each of your end phase, send the top 4 cards of your deck to the graveyard, which is a really, really good effect. We then play a single copy of Chaos Dragon Levinair, which is just an additional boss monster in the deck. Super easy to summon. You banish a total of 3 light or dark monsters, and depending on what you banish to summon out this card from your graveyard, it has the ability that if you banish only light monsters from your graveyard to special summon this card from your hand, then you get to special summon a monster from your graveyard in defense position. If you only banish dark monsters, shuffle 1 random card from your opponent's hand into the deck. If you banish both light and dark monsters, you can destroy 2 cards on the field, which is a really good effect. We then play 3 copies of Starliege. Starliege is a great 3-of in the deck because it has the ability you can send any number of dragon monsters from your hand and or field, face over field, to the graveyard to add a dragon monster from your deck to your hand whose level equals the total original level of those monsters. So for example, if you send 2 level 4s, you can add something like a Judgment Dragon directly from your deck to your hand, or even your copy of Punishment Dragon depending on the situation, which is really cool. It also has the ability you can manage this card from the graveyard and then target 1 level 8 lighter dark dragon monster in your graveyard and add that card back to your hand. So if you mill out your copies of Judgment Dragon or Punishment Dragon, you can just banish this card and add them back to hand, which is extremely powerful. We then play a single copy of Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, which can banish a light monster in the graveyard to special summon itself to your side of the field, and a single copy of White Dragon Wyvern Buster, which can banish a dark monster to special summon itself to your side of the field, which is a really good effect just to be able to get these cards out on your side of the field. And if they're sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add the other one to your hand. So for example, if you link away your copy of White Dragon, you can add your copy of Black Dragon, and if you link away your copy of Black Dragon, you can get your copy of White Dragon, being able to get either or of each other when either or is sent to the graveyard, which is really good. Basically tagging out, which is really cool, and setting up the graveyard for the other one. We then play a single copy of Fairy Tale Snow, which is one of the most important cards in the entire deck, because it has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and change it to face-down defense position, and then during either player's turn, if this card is in your graveyard, then you can banish 7 other cards from your hand, field, and or graveyard to special summon this card, which is an absolutely insane effect to be able to just get this card back on the field, and it's not a once per turn. This card actually single-handedly sets up your copy of Punishment Dragon by being able to banish multiple cards from your graveyard to be able to banish the exact Lightsworns that you need to be able to summon out your copy of Punishment Dragon, and it basically summons itself for free because your copy of Punishment Dragon is just going to recycle the cards that you banish anyways, which is really, really cool. We then play a single copy of Chaos Valkyria. Chaos Valkyria is really good because you can banish a light or a dark monster from your graveyard to special summon this card from your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to use this card as an extender. 1 copy of Destrudo because it can special summon itself to your side of the field as a tuner, and it's just a really, really good card overall. And then a single copy of Plague Spreader Zombie because it's a good card to summon off your copy of Needle Fiber besides your copy of Minerva, which is really, really good in the deck. Being able to summon out either Minerva or your copy of Plague Spreader is just really, really good off of Needle Fiber because it can get you into some really good synchro plays or even into some really good link plays, which is really nice for this deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. It's a lot of monsters, but let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 2 copies of March of the Dark Brigade. This card is a really good card that has the ability to let you target a Lightsworn monster in your graveyard that has a level and add it to your hand. Then banish a number of cards from the top of your deck equal to that monster's original level that was in the graveyard that you added from your graveyard to your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to just banish basically 4 cards or 3 cards off the top of your deck to be able to use this card to be able to grab one of your Lightsworn monsters back out of the graveyard. Usually usually you're going to be grabbing a level 4 or a level 3 with this card, so being able to banish 3 or 4 cards off the top of your deck is really, really good, especially when you hit Lightsworn monsters for your copy of Punishment Dragon. We then play 3 copies of Charge of the Light Brigade, send 3 cards off the top of your deck to the graveyard, and then add any level 4 Lightsworn monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect on this card. It can be level 4 or lower, but usually you're adding your copy of Lumina or your copy of Raiden, if you don't already have it, directly from your deck to your hand off this card's effect. We then play 3 copies of Solar Recharge. Solar Recharge has the ability that you discard a Lightsworn monster to be able to draw 2 cards and then mill 2 cards off the top of your deck, which is really, really good to be able to get 4 cards moving in your deck, which is just really, really good for this card. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness is just really good in the deck because it can banish your dark monsters from your hand to be able to draw 2 cards, which is just really good because you just draw 2 cards and then banish a dark monster from your hand, which is just such a good effect to be able to get a monster banished like a copy of your Twilightsworn monsters to be able to set up for your copy of Punishment Dragon, which is really, really nice. And with cards like Punishment Dragon being able to recycle cards in this deck, this card basically sometimes can feel free, which is really, really nice. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Minerva the Exiled Lightsworn. This card is really, really good because by just detaching material in this card, you can mill the top 3 cards of your deck, and then for every Lightsworn sent, you get to draw a card, which is a really, really good effect on this card. We then play a single copy of Dante because it gives us additional mills in the deck. It's pretty easy to summon, especially with both of your Luminas that you have in the deck, both being level 3, so this card is very, very easy to summon and just get you an additional mill 3. Play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. Baron de Fleur comes up a lot in this deck, but you can change it out for the level 10 Sword Soul Synchro monster, which is an option for you guys if you want to change it out for that card. We then play a single copy of Chaos Ruler. This card is a must in the deck because being able to excavate the top 5 cards of your deck and then sending all of them to the graveyard except 1 light or 1 dark monster is really, really powerful because you get to add that monster that you excavated directly to your hand, which is such a good effect to be able to mill the top 5 and then add 1 light or dark monster among them back to your hand, which is such a good effect. This card is really, really good, and you can also banish a light and a dark monster from your graveyard to special summon this card back from your graveyard to your field. We then play a single copy of Michael the Arc Lightsworn, which is just a really good synchro monster to summon to your side of the field. 1 copy of Boral Sword Dragon. This card helps you OTK, and it's super easy to put multiple materials on the field to go in for this card to OTK the opponent. 1 copy of Access Code. Access Code is really, really good to be able to pop cards on the field. Super, super easy to summon, and just a really good card overall in this deck. 1 copy of Soryuja. This card is a must in this deck to be able to just dig into the deck to get the exact cards that you need from the deck while also putting cards that you don't need, like your copies of Felice and Wolf, back into the deck. 1 copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is really good just to give us additional monster negates. 1 copy of Curious, being able to send a card from our deck to the graveyard, and also having the ability to send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard is just really, really good on this card. 1 copy of Selim because it helps us step into our copy of Access Code. Super, super easy in this deck with cards like Minerva being able to send to the graveyard, which is a spellcaster type monster. You can actually bring it back to your side of the field off this card's effect when you have 3 or more spell cards in the graveyard, which is a really good effect. We then play a single copy of Needle Fiber. Needle Fiber is just a really good card overall to be able to summon the deck with cards like Plague Spreader and Minerva in this build. We then play a single copy of the Hieratic Seal. Hieratic Seal is really easy to summon and just an overall really good card to be able to summon out your cards like Star Leech from the deck, which sets up for some really, really good plays. We then play a single copy of Striker Dragon. Striker Dragon is just really good because you can link away either the Black Dragon or the White Dragon to be able to summon out this card to your side of the field and then search the one that you didn't link away, which is really good because then you can banish the one that's in the graveyard, summon the one that you search, which gives you a link to, which can set up the copy of the Hieratic Seal. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play. If you guys have never played Twilight Swarm before, you definitely should give it a try. It's super fun to be able to play and just has some absolutely insane plays that this deck can pull off. So definitely give the deck a try. So anyways, guys, this is Dark Arm Duelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.